Okay, welcome everybody. Happy. Hello?
Yes, Rich, go
Thank you.
ahead.
Now I can't hear you, Rich. I did hear you say hello.
Rich, I think.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, good. So this is the Lower Makefield Township Airport Review Panel for January 7th, 2021. Happy New Year's, everybody. And there's a few things that I'd like to go over tonight, and I was hoping we would have Judy on here. Joanne, do you know if Judy's planning to call in?
I don't know. I haven't talked to her. I could try to. Do you think she was?
Yeah, I had talked to them yesterday, the TTS board yesterday, and I thought they would be trying to call in because they had a meeting today with New Jersey DEP, and I was expecting to hear from them about, the results of their meeting. So, maybe she'll call in within the next few minutes or so, but I can fill everybody in on what's been going on. So we've been interacting with TTS and New Jersey DEP to try to understand what it is that we can ask of the New Jersey DEP so as to advise Senator Toomey's office, who is willing to write a letter in collaboration with Congressman Fitzpatrick to the New Jersey, DEP, and to say, we're concerned about these issues. We're concerned about the segmentation of all these projects and the fact that they're not being reviewed in a, sort of a licensing perspective, that each of these little segments are being done on their own, and we think these should be done collectively. So the thing is, I didn't want to just have them send a letter that wasn't suitably crafted to be able to ask for something that was actually actionable. And so I believe we can have help from Dan Grenier in crafting this. I had sent him the letter that we had sent to Toomey. I modified it slightly to just take out the paragraphs that had to do with noise or issues that were nothing to do with the DEP. And then I sort of put it to Dan. I said, Dan, you got to help us with what can we ask for here so that it doesn't come off as kind of dumb and it's something that will be actionable. His main response was that his perspective was that the DEP reacts to letters that are addressing some specific issue that is in their inbox. Like if they get the RPZ project EA, then they understand letters are going to come in and we're going to tag these with that file, and they go with that file for review. But if they just get a random letter in, they don't really know what to do with it because it's not applying to any particular review that they're doing. So that was his main concern, was if it goes into an inbox and it's addressing a bunch of different concerns, it may not have any applicability. And so we've been at a bit of a standstill between the holiday period and not being positive what to put into this letter. But when I got a message from Deborah Baseman saying they were going to be meeting with the DEP and asking some questions. So we got together yesterday for a teleconference and talked about what they were going to do, what my questions were. And we decided they would go handle this meeting themselves because they want to establish trust with the DEP. They had already had one meeting with them and they were bringing in more department heads or something like that. And so we just said, okay, just keep the head count to what they're expecting to see, and then they can get back to us with what they've learned. And the DEP had confirmed to them in their previous meeting that they don't really have the authority to just force that all these projects have to be considered together. They basically just react to what they're handed. And of course, that's the airport strategy, is to make all these things bite-sized pieces that get handed to the DEP, and the DEP says, oh, sure, well, that's fine. And they're masking that it's got this whole cumulative effect from all these different projects. So they acknowledge they don't have a way to manage that, and they acknowledge that they think they should have a way to do that. So, but that is what they were supposed to be finding out today. And that's what, I was hoping to hear from Judy, sort of what came out of that. And if they have language like the TTS board was commenting on specific executive orders in New Jersey that had to do with issues that might be relevant to this. And so if they came back from this meeting today and said, here are the things we can address, we should be asking for this to happen, then I think we can finish off this letter with just the right asks to say, please look at this cumulatively, and as per executive order such and so, this ought to be done. And if John Lewis, in an email back and forth with him, commented that he just, since he was appointed Monday, commented that he might be able to help us get into Casey's office. Steve Santasiero has also made that same offer. Before the holidays, I sent him the letter to Casey, and he said he would try to get that through there, because the Bucks rep who we were dealing with just has not been really getting anywhere in terms of this issue. So Steve said he would work on that. John Lewis has said he can help on that. And if we could have Casey and Toomey combined with Fitzpatrick sending a letter over, or maybe Casey can combine forces with Menendez to send a letter down and say, hey, this is affecting both sides of the river. We think this should be done. And it's just trying to find the way forward with that path. Mm-hmm. So we're just, we're right in the midst of finding out the information to try to best affect that path of getting the permitting process to work to our favor. And the other tact I think that we can take is to draft another letter that sort of is a subset of that first letter, and drop the DEP issues and focus on the noise and the FAA's complete dismissal of everything Representative Fitzpatrick had to say. So I think if we go in and we have a couple senators signing the letter along with Fitzpatrick, perhaps we can get a little more pushback on the FAA. Whether or not it helps us with Trenton, we'll see. But I think we need to push back when the FAA is ignoring the Quiet Skies Caucus and, just dissing all these communities that are being troubled by the airport growth. So that, whether or not that helps us specifically with the Mercer County Airport, I don't know, but I think we ought to get a little more clout in a pushback against the FAA for how they've just completely ignored this whole issue. Now, I saw in the news that Secretary Chow has resigned. So yeah, I don't know who's going to go into, be the head of Department of Transportation, and if that might change the attitude towards airports and regulations, and as opposed to reducing reviews, but going back to more of a concerted review about these things. So if we could get our senators to combine with Fitzpatrick and maybe Menendez and maybe Booker, I don't know. I mean, we haven't had any contact with him, but Peter, if we could, they haven't been having much luck contacting Menendez's office. They kind of offered to help with some things, but they reached out to try to break through with some of the other legislative levels in the state, and we're getting no feedback. So I had recommended to them, why don't you go to your contact at Menendez's office? Because if they send an email to somebody and say, we'd like you to respond to these citizens who have these concerns, I bet you get more attention than just you writing the letter to them yourselves. I don't think that has, I mean, that suggestion was also right before the holidays, so it just may have been a bad time to try to get some of these things accomplished, but we're probably somewhat out of the woods as far as that's concerned and the other distractions, and maybe they can get a little more help from that office. But
I'll follow up with them.
We should probably, if you follow up with them, because you have their emails now, right?
Yeah, I'm going to follow up with Menendez's office first and find out what's going on.
Okay.
Because this week is probably a strange week with, it's already over.
Right.
But I'll
Right.
plant the seed to talk to them for next week before they get to
Right.
the inauguration and, and start the process all over again.
Okay. So, but,
And I don't
thought,
remember that Biden has announced Secretary of Transportation yet, but
Right. We could.
I thought I heard, but don't quote me. I think it might be Pete Buttigieg. I could be wrong. I thought I heard that tonight, though.
I believe I heard the same. That was previous.
right, it is Pete
I think
Buttigieg.
you're right. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
so that could be a substantial turn in attitude towards communities. And so, we'll take what we get, right? And so if that helps the cause, then great. We'll pursue that and see if that helps. But for the moment, that's kind of what we've been pushing on. And Judy was saying to me yesterday, they were hoping to try to do something with respect to financial analysis of what the airport's doing and the costs. And they, in their teleconference yesterday, they brought up a bunch of different things of the cost of different projects that were bid at this much, but then planned for a bunch more. And it's sort of like, why are they putting this much into a parking lot? And why are they there's a lot of confusion in trying to understand what their budget numbers look like. So they're still interested in doing that. And Judy also brought in a gentleman who has experience in sort of a, for lack of a better term, PR sort of work and trying to get issues pushed in front of politicians and getting them acted on. And he had some good suggestions. He liked the idea of trying to combine senator and congressman signatures on a letter showing cross body cooperation and trying to get something done. He was emphasizing trying to keep things to a succinct group of bullet points that could be easily digested and just put in front of somebody. They look at them down the list and go, "Oh, okay, I get what you're after." And I gather I had to get off the call, so I don't know where it all went, but I don't know if Judy's hoping he will do some work in this capacity or advise TTS and how they should go forward. But so there was kind of some energy that way towards how to outreach and get things communicated to the people who are decision makers. And like I already said, trying to address the budget issues. And so, that's sort of an update on what's going on. It's certainly been a slow few weeks, and it probably was not a good time to try to get hold of any of these people with what's been going on at both the state and federal levels. So, the next week or so, things will probably settle down enough that it's worth trying to contact people and have this be something they might act on. So that's kind of the update I've got. Sue, do you have any other insights from things that are going on?
Not really, except that I believe Steve Sanacera would give us support with any media blitzes that either, let's say, Bram considered doing or TTS considered doing. If there were asks for Pennsylvania politicians to be part of it. So I think he
Okay.
would be open to, to whatever asks, or at least would consider the asks of those groups, TTS and BRAM, if there's a strategy laid
Mhm.
out for PR. I think he would be open to having the asks given to him and considering them.
Who's that? Steve Santasiero?
Yeah, Steve Sanacero. Mm-hmm.
So that's great. Well, I mean, I think the more levels we can have, and so I don't know who was on the meeting Monday. I know Sue was, when the Board of Supervisors had their reorganizational meeting, and I was concerned that we were just going to be deep sixed because Fred has told us that to our faces. And, we had very little, marginal support from Suzanne Blundy and McCarthy. So, I just sort of figured we're not getting any kind of traction or support from the Board of Supervisors. They're probably going to try to terminate us. And so I just sort of put out the word to some of our community members and said, you better call and just tell them this matters. And so they had about 5 or 6 public comments all about the airport and all saying, we'd like Dan Grenier to be our liaison. And one of the supervisors even had an email from Steve saying the same thing. So as it turns out, who was appointed was John Lewis. John has communicated to me through email. He's enthusiastically jumping on this, and he has said Dan Grenier is available for his expertise anytime we need it. And so, that's all good. And Fred has come out and said, absolutely no way is this panel going to be terminated. We need it to keep our community informed and keep the board informed, et cetera. So that all went well. And I think, John will be an active participant more so than, a couple that we've had. And he's definitely on our side for this. So we'll have that. We'll have access to Dan Grenier, who's very willing to try to guide our language and our asks and knows a lot of the people over at the New Jersey DEP. And so, I'm hopeful that will come to fruition in January, and maybe even a letter down to the FAA, because we have all the talking points. We know what to push. And I guess it's going to come down to, do we know who to send it to? And is there somebody there to really receive it? So, but, over the next month or two, that's kind of what I see coming. And if we can support, the addressing some of the budget issues, we'll see. Joanne, got any other thoughts or comments about what's been going on?
Me specifically, no. I thank you for. It sounds like you've been doing a lot of work on the behalf of the rest of us. So thank you.
Yes.
And I haven't caught up with. I guess I have a question. From the New Jersey side, is it TT and TTS?
PTA, right, Trenton guys.
How many have they gotten any other support? It sounds like she's been doing a lot, but she's in Pennsylvania, so I'm just do they have critical mass?
I think they've added a few members. I don't know that I think their approach is a little more surgical, if you will, rather than mass attendance of meetings at the freeholders. I think they've kind of accepted that the freeholders are going to blow off anything we've got to say or suggest. And so I think their tact, since they gave up on their lawsuit because they concluded, or their lawyers.
Is that they just dropped it midstream and didn't go to completion?
Well, yeah, it was a curious thing because the Department of Justice approached them and said they wanted to go to what's the right mediation. I think it wasn't arbitration, right? It was I think they wanted to go to have mediation or something like that, and with the two parties to try to just say, can we work out that? And there was some discussion about what should the asks be from TTS, and they were pretty excited because if this wasn't going to drag out forever and they were going to go in and try to resolve it, they thought that was a pretty good outcome. But then suddenly, FAA just pulled out of it and said, we don't think we need to mediate because we don't think we'll pursue this. And so they snubbed the Department of Justice request for doing this mediation and just said, we're out. If they want to sue us, they can. And TTS just decided we don't have the deep pockets and the chances of winning in this environment, which is probably what the FAA decided was, why negotiate away something if they can't come after it, right? So I think that's what happened. They decided to bail on that and pursue the permitting and licensing part of this and see what they could do with the locals. So,
Rich, didn't they also say that they had talked to others who had pursued the similar route and got a sense of what the probability is of winning?
okay.
Didn't they say that?
Yes,
at the
they did.
last meeting?
Okay.
Hi, is that Holly?
Yep, I've been here.
Hey, Holly, it's John Lewis. I'm
Hey,
sorry,
John.
I'm a little late here. Just got off my work
Hi,
call.
John.
So, hi.
Hey, John.
Hi, John.
And I understand that people tell me that I'm no Dan Grenier. So I've got to work on that. And, I'll do what I can.
Well,
Okay.
we
Well, you'll learn a lot, John, probably more than you ever wanted to know.
We're glad to have you, John.
Yeah,
well-
we appreciate it.
Yes, indeed.
And welcome the energy enthusiasm that you're going to bring to this, because you mentioned in your email to me that you might be able to help with getting into Casey's office. And that would be huge because we haven't really been very successful at that. And, from what I've heard from C. Santazero was that he thought Casey was interested in helping with this, but he needed a catalyst to make it occur. And we sent him the letter with a summary of the issues, but nothing has transpired. So what I can do is I can send you the letter that we sent to Senator Casey's office
Okay.
and just let you take a look at that, read over the issues, and decide how you want to push it forward. If you have a contact there, then maybe we can get, a little more traction there. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I like to typically, Senator Casey obviously is a tremendous and wonderful public servant, but often going through with the staff to at least start as a baseline helps us get in and build our case.
Sure.
I find in most cases. So yeah, no, not a problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Rich, can you correct me if I'm not remembering this well, but did you say there was some feedback regarding our Casey letter that it might be more effective if it was made a little more concise? And is there any merit in doing the concise bulleting of it, like you had mentioned earlier in this meeting, for John's benefit as he approaches the staff, or changing the order of what's in the letter?
I don't remember that feedback. And it's basically a 2-page letter plus all the signatures. And I think as an introduction to staff level, that maybe, hitting the different issues at sort of a summary level, since there were so many different issues, I don't think it's too bad for entry like that. I think if you're getting up to higher levels who have so many other pressing issues facing them, that's where you go to the bullet list. That, when staff goes to, if they get a point to it, it's in front of Senator Casey, he's going to have so many other distractions and issues going on that better be the real concise thing that he can look at and go, oh, okay, I can support those positions. But I just go ahead, and give, since it, it worked pretty well with Toomey's staff, and then they followed up with an hour-long conversation with me to go over it, and then asked for supporting documents. And so I sent them a bunch of other things, Fitzpatrick's letter, the FAA's rebuttal, all that, some of the stuff that the township had sent probably 2 years ago that Dan had authored. And so, John, I don't know if I'm sure this stuff was floating around the township at the time, but you may not have read it. So I can forward you a lot of this material as well as just background. So, when we talk about when Fitzpatrick sent this letter and the FAA told him to take a hike, and, you can sort of see where that all came from.
Yeah, I definitely want that. And then send me what you sent previously to Senator Casey. And I know from Representative Fitzpatrick's office, I believe we were working with Sue Simon, who's actually a Lower Makefield resident and a staff person. And she was
more recently. It's been Kyle Melander.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
And Sue's no longer, I got an email that Sue's no longer with Fitzpatrick's office.
Okay.
Did anybody else get that email?
I believe I read it.
So no, I ran into her. I was walking and she was jogging, and I had a chance to say hi. So I didn't, but that was like a couple months ago. So I don't know.
Okay. So John, did you hear some of the discussion? I'm not sure when you called in.
No, I got my meeting ended about like 7:55. So
Oh, wow. Okay. So just giving you the sort of the 50-cent summary. The thing we're trying to do is move forward with sort of two different tracks, and one would be to draft a letter that would go to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and trying to combine different levels of government, asking them to look at the projects cumulatively. And what we've been sort of trying to wrestle with, and there's probably a development from today, because the New Jersey residents who are addressing this issue had a meeting with the New Jersey DEP this morning. And I'm waiting to get feedback from them on how that went, with an aim towards getting pretty focused asks that would go into the letter that we would have different levels of government send over. So we know there's issues that the DEP doesn't do. They don't do noise. And, they're not doing a budget review of what the airport's doing. But if we can identify the places where we say, and the issue, and Dan had alluded to this previously to me, was that they're used to getting letters that are focused on a specific task in their inbox of they're reviewing a particular project that the airport has put forward and said, please look at this and tell us if you have any objections to us carrying on this project. And that's kind of the latitude of what they're able to comment on. And if they approve that one and the next week the airport sends them a new one, then they're only supposed to be commenting on that new one. And the fact that they have this accumulation of various tasks that they're asking different permits for, there's not really an obvious mechanism, or that's the concern, is there a mechanism by which they could say, we would like to look at these cumulatively because you keep asking for new projects. Why don't we look at the master plan and see, what all's involved here? So that's the one focus, is trying to get the permitting and licensing process to do a thorough review of the cumulative projects. The second thrust would be to go back to the FAA, which has completely dissed Fitzpatrick in rebutting his concerns, and tell them two things. One, here's the list of the projects, and the New Jersey folks have put together a comprehensive list of the projects and what they're planning to do, and to put that in front of the FAA with more clout, if we can get Senator Toomey and Casey to both sign this, and say, what do you mean there's no cumulative effect from these projects, which is just what they told Fitzpatrick. and say, look at this list of projects and tell us how there could not be a cumulative effect from doing these together. And yeah, just hit them with a little bit harder, a significantly harder punch than Fitzpatrick alone. And then also in that letter to push back on the FAA for completely ignoring the requests or the mandates from the Quiet Skies Caucus to address the noise level issue, which a lot of communities, I mean, as of a year ago, the Quiet Skies Caucus had 70 congressional reps on it. And I don't know where it is at the moment, if it's probably grown since then. But they told in an FAA authorization or budget letter, you need to address these issues, and they laid them all out, and the FAA told them, no way. And so the Quiet Skies Caucus has come back with a letter to the FAA saying, wait a minute, that's not how this works. We tell you what you're supposed to do. And so I think it'd be fair for us in a letter from our federal reps to tell the FAA, you can't do that. That's not how this works. And so that combined with a change in administration, perhaps a different FAA head would, if they would come back and say, you're right, we need to look at these together. There needs to be an EIS on the whole master plan. You know, that's about what we could ask for, I think. I mean, we can't tell the FAA to shut it all down. We can tell them, follow the regs and do the environmental impact study on this. So those would be the two tacks we would be trying to take here in, you know, the next month or so.
On the New Jersey DEP review, is their review limited to traditional land use associated with the airport? Because that's, to me, seems to be, could be limiting for us. What?
I think they also review air pollution, water pollution. I mean, they have to look at the impact on the waterways and the air.
Yeah. We have a former New Jersey DEP 30-year veteran who lives in Lower Makefield.
Oh, yeah. He's on the EAC?
Yes.
Okay.
He's worth talking to because he would know this cold.
We should definitely have a call with him then.
Okay. So yeah, he's wonderful. Well, I would say his name, Alan Dresser. I mean, he's I don't want to keep, I don't want to get calls and stuff like that, but he's a great guy and he's a wonderful service to the community. And so he's, aside from being like super smart and helpful.
Well, I'll tell you what, after I get the feedback from this meeting at the DEP, we'll glean what we can from that, summarize it, and ask for a discussion with Alan and you and maybe Dan.
Yep.
To just say, here's what we know, what should we do, and then we can finish up this letter that would be from the different levels of government in PA back to New Jersey, and maybe coupling it with some people from New Jersey. So one of our members, Peter, has been very effective in communicating with Menendez's office, and Peter got them connected with the New Jersey folks. So we've actually had some traction on that side because of Peter's efforts on this. So and he's going to, you know, sort of chase that down now still. So there could be a chance for collaboration on both sides of the river. So, okay, so the rest of the panel members, Brendan, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Not right now. I'm taking notes so I can supply those for you, Rich.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Joe Menard, are you still on? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say there was a question from the last meeting. I'll have to refer back to my notes. I'm not recalling it right here. Oh, you know what it was? It was on the point about the noise complaints out of Mercer.
Yeah.
maybe John would want to hear that story because that was pretty damning and telling at the same time, I thought. Where all the years of, and Holly, I don't know if you can help me get this thought out, but basically they had a 3-day retention period on all the noise complaints, and then they would destroy them.
Right. So up until fourth quarter of last year, I believe, is when we finally called them on it, and they said now they're starting to hold on to it, although we don't know that's true. Mm-hmm. But all the years and years and years of complaints, I'll say this current questioning period of the expansion, not the previous one, because we had copies of all those 25 years ago, but they're kind of moot at this point. They were all destroyed and conveniently lost. So the initial discussion when we brought this up to New Jersey legislators, well, we haven't heard anything, and the airport hasn't reported anything. Well, that's because they got rid of the evidence.
That'd be a violation of New Jersey's open records law.
One would think so, John.
Yeah. So
well, you don't have a real domain on that page. They make it hard to find.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And didn't it take a FOIA request to get that information?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And there is Holly, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a letter from Mercer County Council to the Mercer County citizen who requested the record stating that they don't have them.
That's correct. They have it. The TTS has record of that. Absolutely.
Yep.
And it's just it's like everything else right now. It's that it kind of goes and people go, oh, isn't that's not right, and then everything continues to move on.
Yeah. Thanks, Brendan. Good point. Joe, any comments you'd like to make?
Not at this time, but as I said, I will be talking to you tomorrow in more detail because I'm, getting back on track now.
Good. All right. Glad to hear it. Very good. Peter?
No, I know what my task is. I'll reach out to them. As I said, tomorrow's kind of a quiet week, but we'll start the process again.
Yep. Glenn, I know you're on the phone. Do you have anything you'd like to add or insights you picked up late?
Yeah, no comments right now. I just want to thank you all for keeping up the good work. And if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know.
Okay. Sue or Holly? And I don't know if anybody else has called in, but if so, just identify yourself and you can make a comment.
Nothing from me at the moment. Thanks for all you're all doing.
And I want to continue to thank you for everyone for keeping the communication lines open and transparent so that BRAM can continue to get information out as quickly as possible and as accurate as possible to the rest of the communities that are affected by this. My only additional comment, and it's probably moot at this point, but I'll make it anyway, is with Toomey heading out the door, he's not running for re-election. It appears that he is a bit more pliable. And whoever's going to head up the EPA, it may all be too late because TTN is moving ahead, but it will be interesting to see if there's any new pressure from some of these caucuses and things that have hit upon dull ears or deaf ears. If there's a shift in that in the months to come with the change in leadership. Or having leadership completely. It's just something I've been thinking about, trying to keep my mind off of the other jokes that's going on. It would be interesting, but I don't know. Maybe Toomey will be willing to do a little more in across the aisle, or at least raise the questions. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see what happens as things unfold.
Agreed. Okay, and so then just last point to the board. Thanks for keeping us an active panel, John, and I will get you the information. I can just collect it quickly tonight and send it to you. and then, look at that at your leisure, and we can talk. And I would bet by sometime next week, we'll have enough information about the DEP meeting they had today to put together some thoughts and request a meeting with Alan and you and Dan.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, and like I said, I have, as long as it's only 2 supervisors and not a full group, we can have small, we could do a Zoom meeting or something with Alan.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, if I could just jump in real quick, Rich, and that is one other point that's been happening, and maybe, John, this was said and I missed it, but just so you know that on this side of the river, up until COVID, we were meeting monthly with all leaders on all levels, from township level up through the state level, and talking about what was happening in New Jersey and effectively communicating as a group. That has kind of gone by the way, although I think it could be easily reconstituted if the need be, but that was a really good group because we would, and Sue Herman was pretty pivotal at keeping that going. But just so you know that we were kind of all exchanging ideas of what we were doing and what was going on, trying to move issues forward. And it was a really good group because we had Yardley Borough, we had the LMT airport group, we had
county people, you had
yep.
Melander was there for Fitzpatrick.
Yep.
Perry Warren was Perry Warren, right?
Right, Perry Warren, Steve. And it was all of us in a room, and it was really good just to see what each group and how we could collaborate and work as effectively as possible from this side of the river. So whether that comes together in a Zoom sometime as things start to maybe solidify again, don't know, but it was something that would not sound foreign to any of these groups because we were doing it pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Good point, Holly.
I just want to take 2 seconds and welcome John as a liaison to our committee. I've worked with John on other committees in the past, and he does always take he's always been proactive, and I know he'll be a good addition to liaison to working with us. So thanks, John.
Yep. And looking forward to working with you again, Joe.
Thanks, John.
Welcome to the party, John.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I think that's all we've got. And managers of the Zoom meeting, you can shut us down.
And are we meeting in a month? Do we know?
Let me look at what date. The dates were a little less flexible.
You can take it